Crystal Palace have won the FA Cup. The 2025 FA Cup is now in the hands of Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park of Super Ollie Glasner, and I simply cannot believe it. This is a momentous occasion for the club. This is an amazing moment for all of us. This Crystal Palace family now have their first major trophy. Welcome back to Luke Talks Palace, where I know it's been a long time since I have done a long form video. I do apologise, but I am now back. I'm ready to attack the summer, the transfer window, the Europa League chat, and all that. So please do subscribe if you are new around here. This video today is not planned. I haven't wrote anything in preparation for this. I haven't thought too much about it. I just wanted it to come straight from the heart. When that whistle blew in the 100th minute, tears were shed, hugs were shared, everyone connected. It didn't matter who you were, where you were from, or anything like that. All that mattered was that you were a Crystal Palace fan and you had witnessed history. It was amazing. Strangers hugging each other, crying together, men 50, 60, 70, or in their 20s or 30s, fully bawling their eyes out. Ladies doing the exact same. A surreal experience and an amazing one to be a part of. And wow, Super Ollie Glasner, what you have done, what you have made for this club is ridiculous. There was a feeling before that match that there could be something in this for us. We could win it. The social media team for Crystal Palace were doing amazing, amazing videos in the build up. They were making us well up and cry before the game had even started. It was amazing. Every single player on that pitch did their part. Two players in Mark Gay and Adam Wharton actually had to go to hospital after. That is how much this team put their body on the line. It was a surreal experience and massively, massively deserved. Yes, you can argue about the Dean Henderson red card, but I do not care because these things happen with swings and roundabouts. We'll have something soon that probably won't go away and we will moan a bit about it, but this just happens sometimes. Apart from that, though, Man City got a penalty that arguably they shouldn't have. It was saved. They had chance after chance after chance. They were crossing it in. They know we're physical and they were just playing to our strengths. And we executed what we needed to do perfectly with that counter attack. Glasner had some big decisions to make. Would he start Hughes or Kamada? He went for Kamada. And this guy has gone from someone the whole Palace fan base was slating to someone we all were loving and have fallen fully in love with. He put his body on his line. Every single player gave their all, 110%. Every sub who came on, Jefferson Lerma who had to come on and play centre back for 45 minutes. They all did everything that they needed to do to win this trophy. So many of them players have not won a trophy in their lives. They've been in a final in their lives. Munoz, Lerma, Eze, Wharton, Gay, Will Hughes, Henderson, to name a few, have all suffered heartbreak in a final, either at Wembley or at the Euros or at the Copa America. And they said this time we're not going to be losing. We're not going to be on that losing side. They absolutely fought their socks off. It was amazing to see. I do not think I've ever seen a Crystal Palace squad this close together. Every single player adores each other in that team, and we've never ever had that across the whole 25, 30 man squad. And that is because of Oliver Glasner again. The mentality he instills into this squad is amazing. And it is so poetic that Joel Ward would help us to the Premier League and then he would be the one to lift that trophy. Wow. Wow. Simply ridiculous. As I said, so many players put their bodies on the line, but you do have to shout out Dean Henderson for the amount of saves he said. Chris Richards, wow, you have turned a corner this season. You were amazing. Really, really good in the air. It was massively important. Wharton and Kamada were perfect in the middle. Mateta, defensively, Mateta was insane. Every time Bernardo Silva was coming back to the Man City defence to try and get the ball and kind of turn things around and get them higher up the pitch, Mateta would be there. Mateta would be running back 40, 50 yards to defend because he knew this was a game he wouldn't have a lot of the ball, a lot of chances. He knew all he had to do was put his body in the line, defend well, and it would massively save us. His play for the build-up as well. Mateta and Kamada were brilliant. Passing it to Munoz, and something we've seen so many times this season. That man, how is he not knackered? Daniel Munoz could probably run forever without a break, and he would never be tired. It is insane. Even Daniel Munoz crying at the end of the match. Insane. As I said, this squad, they just get it. They all get it. And we are witnessing the peak of Crystal Palace at this current time. As I said, Europa League now. We're going to be seeing European football at Selhurst Park and away in Holland, Germany, France, you name it. We're going to be there. It is amazing to see. We constantly get abuse from fans across the league, even in the Irish leagues for some reason, the Scottish leagues, saying, why would you want to support Crystal Palace? They're just a team who are boring. They're 12th every season. They do nothing. Well, look at us now, lads. We're on a European tour, and that's because our owners have made us stay stable for the last decade. 15 years ago, Crystal Palace were in administration. No one thinks about that. We then got promoted 2 years later. No one thinks about that. We then had 5 years where we were just struggling to stay up, of course, because our squad was weak. We had to plug lots of money into it, and Steve Parish then had to pull them purse strings back sometimes. To everyone who's been in this club and done something positive for this club, Roy Hodgson, Sam Allardyce, Pardew, they have produced what we needed to do in order to stay in the division and push on. And we found the right man in Oliver Glasner to do that. In his first full season, he's won a trophy. It is phenomenal work. But as I said, them fans called us boring. You don't realise the full story and what we needed to do in order to stay stable and then push on. And we really managed it. Even all the players who came on in that game today, I really don't want to go, round and round in what I'm saying. But this is just such a big moment in our history, and we all got to celebrate at Selhurst Park when everyone thought we'd be on the beach. And yet again, we produced another strong win. Wolves only had two big chances from corners, and they were a bit sloppy from us. Apart from that, we were fully in control of that game. Four goals, two from Nketiah, one from Chilwell. Our squad depth players stood up in that game. They came into that starting 11 and they're so involved, they're so wanting to do well at this club that they all pushed, they all gave their all. And despite us not having our strongest team, we still managed to pick up a very nice victory. Now, finally, I need to talk about Eberechi Eze. That man has been so good. There were questions around whether he was that talisman who can do, win you these games. And look what he's done. He's won us multiple games for the last few months, including the FA Cup final, of course. But his goal there, his goal in the semi, his goal in the quarters, all crucial, really good finishes as well. He's really stepped up. And just like Mateta, him and Sarr were doing so much defensive work against Man City. They gave their all. They knew they had to do everything else. They couldn't just stand there and watch. They had to help the defence. And that's what they did. And I'm just smiling so much because it's just amazing to see us have a team like this, a squad that is so connected, so together, and who love the fans as much as we love them. This video could go on for hours. I could waffle, I could talk for hours, but I don't think there is too much else that is needed to be said apart from Steve Parish. Fair play. I may have criticised you at some points over the years, but fair play for what you've done. I've always thought he was the man to provide us stability and never knew if he was the man to help us push on. But look, he's taken us to the next level. I can never, ever thank him for saving this football club and for getting us our first FA Cup win in Europe enough because, wow, just phenomenal. Again, I'm loving that word in this video, aren't I? Now comes a big summer. There's going to be lots of transfer rumours. There's going to be lots of fake news out there. Let's not get sucked into all of that. We've just got to enjoy this moment for now. Enjoy the fact that we have lifted our first major trophy. Enjoy the fact that we've shed tears together during that match and after that match. I mean, people who probably haven't cried for years, decades, cried in that match. If people ask what does football mean, you just show them highlights of the Crystal Palace fans after that game. And that's the final point I want to talk about. You, the Crystal Palace fan base. What we did in that game was something that may never, ever be witnessed again, in my opinion, from another fan base. You do not get another fan base like that in England. Lots of people say, oh, how funny, they just bang the drum. Some of them dress in black, they're rubbish. They're just trying to be fake European ultras. Well, you saw at Wembley exactly what we do and why we do it, because we give them the full support that they need to be that 12th man, to do exactly what they needed to do to push them over the line. And what is wrong with us being that loud, that vocal, the banner, the emotion that that banner brought? All you were seeing from other fan bases was how amazing was that moment, how emotional was that moment. That is what the ultras bring us, that is what the fan base bring us when they are connected. I have never, ever herd support like I did at Wembley Stadium for that 90 minutes, 100 minutes during that match. We were phenomenal, you know. People who probably don't sing a lot were singing that game, you know, each their own. But every fan wanted to sing their heart out, show exactly what we were about. And it was amazing scenes. It was history I will never ever forget. And yeah, Palace fans, we are truly special. That is all from me today. What a time to be a Palace fan. As I said, do not forget to subscribe if you are new around here. Please like and comment on this video. Let me know what you thought of these words. They have literally just come from the heart there. I really, really hope they kind of symbolize exactly everything that every Palace fan thought during that game, after that game, and before that game. Now we look on, we enjoy the fan parade. I can't wait. It is truly, truly amazing. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and comment, and I will be seeing you later. Up the FA Cup winning Palace.